What is up, Two Brain YouTube world? Welcome to Locomotion Fitness. I am Jay Cohen, the owner of Loco, and we are here today to talk about how to help you make a good living and help a lot of people at your gym. And what we're going to talk about today is floor plan or layout of your facility and how to make sure that you're not wasting space and that you have all the appropriate spaces that you need. Because take it from a guy who tried to have a room that I called the recovery room that had saunas and ice bath and massage guns. It wasn't profitable. And so how you use space really matters. Just space that you think is gonna do great. Space for like a client lounge. That is not directly contributing to revenue. So if you're not in a place where you're sitting pretty, that's probably not the best use of space. I get it, that drives membership, and a pitch could be made for making that extend length of engagement. However, my argument is there is much better ways to use it that will drive revenue up front. So what I'm gonna do is just walk through my gym and tell you all the different spaces that we have and what we utilize them for. First and foremost, as we're coming into the building, we've got a beautiful parking lot. And that is something that I really recommend, is making the front of your facility look pretty, priming people for when they're coming in for the first time for a sales appointment. Because if it looks terrifying, that's not gonna be great. So that's something not a lot of people think about, but getting the exterior of this facility looking solid. I've got planters with tons of plants. I got a cool painting up there, our sign, of course. When they walk in the door, obviously we've got a welcome area. And for me, I wanted two things in my welcome area, or I guess three. First thing was a front desk so that I could have a smiling face and somebody welcoming people when they come in. An iPad so that they can check in, any announcements. We put like, a little sign holder on there. So that's one thing I wanted there. Second thing, retail stuff. I wanted a space where people walk in where they can see all of our gear and see our t-shirts, our hats, our coffee mugs. They can see all of our supplements. So it's just, everyone's got to walk by it. It's like the old grocery store theory where they put the milk and the eggs in the way back corner, so you have to walk by everything else. The chances of people seeing it, making purchases are much higher. Third, and finally, in that initial welcome area is just a waiting space, right? When people are waiting for appointments or they're waiting for classes to start, doubles as a little client hangout area as well, instead of having one that's totally standalone or separate. Now, in my building, in that initial waiting area over to the side is an area with a white round table and two chairs and our in-body scanner. And we built a curtain system to be able to block that off. So I basically built another room to do sales consults and athlete check-in appointments. It's right next to the roll-up door, so it gets a nice breeze even when it's hot. I'm in Charleston where it gets toasty. And man, that has been huge because I'm in here in my office. I've got another office next door, which we'll talk about, but that's mainly my registered dietitian's office. And so if I'm in here, she's in there, what if we have an athlete check-in? And so having that curtained off space, I wanted people to feel safe and comfortable. And having, without the curtain, people can see them getting on the in-body. Somebody could see the numbers. For sales appointments, people are looking over my shoulder at the gym floor and feeling distracted. So make sure if you're gonna have a space like that in a common area, there's a way that you can create a little bit of privacy. Maybe it's a curtain, maybe it's one of those foldable things. I don't know what those are called. All right, so that's that area. Then next door to that is another just sort of seating area. And this is the area that probably could be used better for us. We have a lending library where people can check out books, and then there's a little seating area. Most of the time, it's just my coaches hanging out there. What I have thought about doing is putting a little kids area, like a little kids playpen there. Again, I feel like it might be too distracting, I'm not sure, but that certainly would be a way to turn that space into some revenue generation. Another thing to just keep in mind there, if you're thinking about that, I know in my state in South Carolina, Department of Health has to get involved if you start doing childcare stuff. So just make sure you're aware of everything that you need to be aware of if that's the route that you're going to go. So then we walk onto the gym floor, and my gym floor, the main part of the gym floor, is 5,000 square feet. First thing that I want to recommend there is any and every organization system that you can possibly think of. So a way to get your foam rollers tucked away, PVC pipes, you guys know the drill here, right? There's a ton of storage solutions out there, use them. You want it to look pretty and organized when people are coming in, and you want it to be easy for members and coaches to get stuff. So make sure you're paying attention to how your equipment is set up. In my gym, we have 2 times every day where everyone just stops what they're doing, make sure everything's good to go, and then get back to whatever we were doing. And coaches do it after sessions to make sure that it stays good. Now, in my gym floor, we have our boxes set up in a long row, almost in the middle of the floor. There's a little bit more room. It's probably 3,000 square feet and 2,000 square feet. What that line of boxes signifies is the split in the floor where on this side of the boxes is where we do group classes, and on that side of the boxes is where we do personal training sessions. So foundation, small group personal training, one-on-one stuff, all happens on the other side of the boxes. When we did that, it was a game changer because everyone felt like they had a home. People weren't running into one another, trying to get around people. So if you don't have a separate area and you're just all intermixed, maybe that's something to think about if your floor plan allows for it. Moving on now, we've got an outdoor area, a field out in the back where we do sled pushes and runs and tire flips and all that kind of stuff. If you have outside space that you can use it. It's free space. I went as far as at this building, I just added an awning a couple months ago, make it look prettier, clean it up a lot. And now it's not matted yet, but I'm gonna mat it and I'm gonna have another 800 square feet under cover where I could have another couple personal training sessions going on, and that cost me nothing. Well, I guess it cost me the matting and the awning, but I'm not paying for that square footage. So that is the outside zone. Now, circling back to the front of the building, just off our welcome area is a door that opens up into a 1,500 square foot room that we call the fancy fitness room. And that room has heating and air conditioning, has a hardwood floor, full of mirrors, and that is where we do yoga classes and cycle classes at our facility. This room is drastically underutilized, and I am actively brainstorming on ways to use it more. So we're gonna experiment with a few different class types that can happen in that room to see if we can get stuff happening there more often throughout the day. I can tell you at our gym, our cycle program is not doing great, even though we use the prescriptive model. So I'm gonna pivot away from that. Our yoga program does pretty good, but we don't have enough of it in there. I've only got maybe 10 to 15 yoga classes a week, and I'm not generating enough revenue from that pretty substantial piece of floor that I could use. One pro tip, if you're gonna have a space like that, one thing I wish that I did was put a little bit of soundproofing in there. When we got a yoga class going on, and then we've got a big class, boot camp or CrossFit class going on the gym floor, it can get really loud in there. So it's just something to be aware of. Coming through that door, we've got a hallway with our bathrooms. We went high end on our bathrooms, tile, nice finishes, granite countertops, all of that kind of stuff. That certainly doesn't have to be the case, but it does have to be clean. So make sure that it's as good as it can be given your constraints. Shower was helpful for us. make sure that that's going to be something that is important for you. If your gym is just people in your neighborhood, probably not too many people are going to shower. So you might only need one or maybe none at all. If you are somewhere where people are in the city and they're coming in and they're at the office and they need to shower before they go back, well, maybe you need to add 3 or 4 showers total, or maybe in each men's and women's. But that's your demographic, and you need to think through how many people are going to be using those showers on a regular basis. Next door down, this office. So this is my office. This is a coach's hangout. It's where we do sales appointments. It is honestly too big. What I'm considering doing is putting a wall right in the middle right here to have an office for my ops manager. So be ops manager, my office, and then my registered dietitian's office. This space behind the camera right now, there's a couch, there's a big oval table over here where I do intro appointments. It's just too much. We thought that this was gonna be used a lot more by the other coaches when I built it. Next door to me is my registered dietitian's office. And that is a great use of money, but again, not something that's full all the time. So that's not a bad thing for us, because right now, like I said, my ops manager doesn't have an office and he uses it often. It's a bleed over space for any time we need to pull members in or have coaches conversations. So I'm a fan of that space. One thing we used it for early on before I had my RD was just a storage room. And that is one thing that you need to consider that I didn't. We do not have enough storage, and it makes things really difficult. You need to try and get creative there with solutions. Again, use as little space as is humanly possible, because it's not going to generate you revenue, but it is something that you need to be aware of. Moving down one more door, I have what used to be the room that I described earlier called the recovery room, which is where we had ice baths and saunas. Unfortunately, that was during COVID where I stood that up, or I started right before and then COVID came, and it was just a giant flop. There was not much money coming in there at all. So what I decided is, what can I do with this space? I'm going to sublease it. So I have a cash-based physical therapist that subleases space from me. It is the perfect fit. He pays me $800 a month. And he's got access to the gym floor to be able to work with his clients. I have a place where I can send my clients who, it's somebody who understands that people are trying to get back to workouts. I know that the advice is going to be solid. And so that's a win for everyone across the board. So those are all the different spaces that I have in my gym. Your gym is going to be different because it's a different size and you've got different demographics and all of that. The reason I walked through that with you is I just wanted to give you some ideas and remind you that every space that you have needs to be justified. You need to make sure it is driving some revenue into your business. And it's okay to try something, and if it doesn't work, change the use of the room. That's cool too, but just don't let it be something that's just sitting there. I know, like, if I don't do something, like when I move somewhere, if I don't get it how I want it within like the first month, things just sit in that state forever. And so my ask of you and of me is to not let that happen. Like, keep moving the needle, make sure that you're doing everything you can to maximize your space. All right, guys, I am Jay Cohen. This is the Two Brain Business YouTube channel. If you liked that video, hit that thumbs up. Leave us a comment with some creative spaces that you had, and make sure you hit that notifications bell so you don't miss any of this awesome content. All right, guys, see you next time.